All right, now that we got some audio going, I just want to welcome you to the Hurley Investments Midweek Commentary for the 17th on Wednesday. Had some audio issues, but I should be off and going. I'm reviewing a Morgan Stanley article that I read yesterday on how Morgan Stanley doesn't know which end is up or what's going on. But what I was focusing on is the typical investor portfolio, or the average, has had a decline of about 10.35% year to date on open folio. This is going over 30 different, 60,000 different portfolios. They're getting crushed. Big money for the first time that I can remember in a very long time is saying, hey, we don't know what's going on. They're admitting they're not doing well for their investors. And not only are they not doing well, they're outright doing horrible with no help or end in sight. My thought I wanted to go with is, boy, I kind of chuckle inside, but I'm so grateful for what we do. I'm so grateful that I took some profits on Nvidia today, readjusted the trade, and they're up after hours, $2.18. I'm grateful that I had protected the downside, some Visa and some Disney. I feel like we're in great shape moving forward if we get a bit of a bounce. I like that Big May is saying that the consumer has been a bit overstated. I kind of chuckled because in real life, um, what consumers buy is two-thirds of our economy, but that doesn't change very much. The reality is what most of us are buying are our necessities. The consumer doesn't typically, in a mad rush, you see a big group of people go and say, you know what? We all now need new cars. We all now need new $2,000, $2,500 flat screen TVs. It just doesn't happen that way. I'm shocked at how so many people are literally grasping for straws. When if you'd been in that collar trade, if you'd protected yourself, you're doing nothing more than literally making up some of the downside movement so you don't have to have your stocks get all the way back up to where they were to be profitable. It wouldn't surprise me when we're going to look at charts here to see the S&P get back up to that 1950 range and go back down and test the bottom side of the range. Wouldn't surprise me at all if we started to do that. There were some positives. I kind of chuckled at this. Earnings expectations are literally better than expected. We were expecting earnings ex oil to literally be down about 1.5%. But of course, if you take out the ex oil, it was actually up about 0.7. Candidates don't appear to be multiplier expanders. We thought, hey, you know what? Election year. Election years are typically positive. Hey, we can push that to the side. Not only that, but when negativity is pretty low, when we go through a week like last week, where it's always down, it usually starts to put in a bottom. And you see it with a V-shaped recovery as people are covering shorts. Plain and simple, we have Morgan Stanley letting us know they're a bit more nervous this year than they were last year. They're overweight in healthcare and utilities, staying underweight in energy, cutting discretionary. They're cutting all kinds of things left and right. But they did say they were upping their stake in Apple. Guys, I start out with a quote today. Sometimes the market is so volatile that fundamentals, technicals, and any past history just don't matter. We are in that market today. What have we coined this market phrase? When we talk about the market that's absolutely ridiculous, what's that phrase that coins our market? It is what? I'm looking for someone to answer me there. What's our new market called? Anyone know? If you don't know, volatile. Guys, this is the new normal. With having such a volatile, it is volatile, but having such a volatile market, we actually are now caught up in we're caught up that geez, I'm trying to find I'm going to throw out my political correctness. We're caught up in a world where any crap from any other nation in the world or any headline news now affects our market and moves it up, down, or sideways depending on someone else's fundamentals, on someone else's problems. Comparatively speaking, the U.S. is doing quite well. I'm really worried about April when we see the repayments by countries out in Europe for the loans that were borrowed. Nice to see Draghi say, hey, he's going to throw more money at it. But again, eventually you run out of other people's money. We are going to have to pay for this. And it's, you know, we have a couple, here in the United States, we have a couple advantages over the rest of the world because of the fact that we are a reserve currency status. I also threw in here a recap I sent out to some of my clientele. It's a middle of the month of February recap, and I coined a term, what a craptastic start to 2016. Yes, we are now down over 10% year to date on all the major averages. Not only are we past correction mode, but we were down as far as 14% since the highs. Kevin, are you profitable? The short answer is, for the most part, no. But I'm nowhere close to being down 10 to 14%. And a little bounce up here, and I'm going to be looking ridiculously smart. I went through a couple comments. I think Apple is running into the law of large numbers. And I don't think by way of how much they make, but I think it's by way of what they have to beat. Not only do they have to beat top and bottom lines and forward guidance, but they also have to beat number of iPhones, iPads, Mac computers, iPay revenue, profit margins, iWatches sold, apps sold, services revenue increase, margins revenue increase, a new product expected each year. I think Apple is literally stuck in the law of large numbers. And that law of large numbers is nothing more than it has to beat on too many different categories to satisfy everyone. Just kind of a bummer. Baidu, since I wrote this email, Baidu's come up 20, 30 points. And they still don't have their earnings yet. Earnings were supposed to come before the end of the month. But as far as I saw, I haven't checked exactly for today, I still haven't seen earnings dates on Baidu. It was supposed to be the 15th through the 19th. Well, we got the 19th on Friday. It's making a lot of big moves up, but no comment on when Baidu is going to have their earnings. Disney, knocked out of the park, top, bottom, and guidance lines, and they continue to go down. I'm happy to see Disney right now sitting closer to 95.50. They're making a move back up. I think people have got on the bandwagon and realized that was really stupid. The article and the downgrade by BTIG, they're doing just fine. Visa beat earnings, got dragged down by the stock market, but we're looking at a bounce back up. Ford beat earnings, got pulled down from the market, looking for a bounce back up. NVIDIA, big drop with earnings coming, and they knocked out of the park. They're back up to $28, $29. I just was trying to make the understanding for the clientele that, yes, we're in a craptastic, bizarro world type of market. Thank goodness, as of yesterday, we're not down 10.65%. Thank goodness that we made up some of the downward movement. Thank goodness we can make a rational decision because we know that, hey, I've got myself protected from here on out. Thank goodness we sometimes don't have to make a decision when all the weirdness is going on because we know we're protected. Doesn't mean that it might get out of whack. I don't know if you guys have noticed, one of the newer things that we're worried about is when you don't see option prices catch up to the stock market, where options make 25 cents on the way down when your stock lost freaking $10. And you sit there and go, how come I didn't make up that other 9%? It's just playing catch up. It's just playing catch up, and we'll see what we got to do to obviously make things better, so to speak. But we get through these hard times because of the ability to protect ourselves to the downside. And guys, it makes a world of difference. I know some portfolios that are down in that 14, 15%. And ridiculous. I'm not sure how I would explain to someone, oh yeah, by the way, we're down 14, 15%, but don't worry, it's going to come back. Out of curiosity, would anyone here like to make any comments about our stock market? Now, Dan, I think you're driving, so you are not allowed to make any comments on our stock market. I think that was Dan that said yep. Dan, you're driving, so no comments. Anyone want to make any comments about the stock market? Good, bad, or indifferent? I am giving you your chance to do so. Going once, going twice, sold. No clue, just have faith it'll come back soon. That's a funny way to say it, but yeah, there isn't a whole lot of clues out there right now. And because there are not a whole lot of clues, you literally just do the best you can with what you have. Mod says it's completely illogical. You're correct. It is completely illogical, and because of that, you do the best you can to get by with what you know. And if what you know for the time being is you don't know a whole lot, so be it. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It just means you're going to do the best you can to literally do the best you can. It's that simple. Any other comments that you guys like to get out? We are now in the new normal, and this is why a lot of what we're doing doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's our new normal. It's by definition logical, but we are not totally aware of the playing rules. You know what? That's a way to look at it too. I don't know if it's logical. I'll be 100% honest with you. I don't know if I would call it logical. It's not logical. The honest answer is it's not logical. In fact, it's pretty illogical. In fact, it is so illogical that that fundamentals no longer matter. That that I actually think it's awfully darn tough. That's what I would tell you there. It is awfully darn tough because it is so illogical. You can't predict news to try to tell you you can't predict news to tell you direction you think the stock market's going to go. With that said, guys, let me make a quick run to say what's happening this week and why. I think we've had some pretty interesting economic reports. Obviously, Holiday Monday, and China is back online trading, or markets are open. When you take a quick peek, yesterday was horrific. Empire manufacturing numbers came in at a negative 16.6 versus an estimated negative 9.9. We had the NAHB housing index at a 58 versus an estimated 60. Ridiculous. Yet our market was up 200 some odd points yesterday. We then look at today. MBA was up 8.2%. People were coming back and getting mortgages. The PPI inflation, which is bad news, right? Came in at 0.1. Producer pricing index, the everyday people's inflation, up 0.1 versus an estimated negative 0.02. Core PPI turned out to be at 0.4 versus an estimated 0.0. Someone tell me, why is inflation being up a bad thing? Why is inflation being up a bad thing? Why is inflation a bad thing? Anyone know? Should not be the Fed wants it. Yeah, there you go. The Fed, unfortunately, literally, if inflation's going up, we're meeting their numbers, and they now have a reason to start to raise rates back up. Or maybe they decide they don't want to raise rates back up. They want to go negative. Literally, it should be bad news because they're going to raise interest rates because they're getting the inflation numbers that they're looking for. Really interesting comment here. I'm going to read both of them. It should be the Fed wants it probably because it became more symmetrical in terms of information. The market became so more complex. Thus, is beyond our average ability to see the rules that there may exist more than the ones applied to in the past. It looks like we need to learn to walk as if we were blind to arrive at our destination. And that's the point I wanted to make. It looks like we need to learn to walk while being blind, trying to get to our destination. An amazing comment there, Abraham. That's the way people feel in the stock market right now. We look at today, inflation was up, which plain and simple means, hey, we're in trouble. because they're still going to raise when they blew it, when we probably our economy can't handle it. Housing starts were down. Building permits were right in line. We had industrial production up big, up to 0.9 versus an estimated 0.3. We have capacity utilization beating as well, 77.1 versus an estimated 76.6. Everything said another rate hike. Yet what did our market decide to do? Let's take a look at our charts. The Dow technically crossing over bullish. Technically crossed already over MACD. We are still not technically bullish. Kevin, you can't tell that looking at your chart. So we'll go ahead and we'll go to a technical crossover just to verify it. Still not crossed over yet on the 5 and the 20. But we get past that 16,500. We're up to 17.2. We're up to 17.2. So taking a quick peek, Dow Jones, two technicals are bullish, but the 5 and the 20-day exponential moving haven't crossed yet. We're getting there. Not only that, we're above a support level, that 16,400. We got above it. I'm going to bring out the S&P 500. Crossovers at the bottom, just crossing over on the MACD. You can't really call it a true crossover yet. Oh, for crying out loud. Close to bullish crossovers. We could at least run up and try to challenge the 1950 mark and or possibly the 2000 mark. And then let's go ahead and bring in the NASDAQ. Ditto. I'll just say ditto. Next couple days are really big days in our stock market. So, how am I trending the end of the week? Or what do I think world markets end the end of the week? My expectation is higher. And my expectation is higher because we might have more short covering for options expiration Friday. The only thing I can think of for today is people are starting to bail out of their short positions before Friday when options expire. Just an idea to think of. Looking at the rest of our week, a little bit different on a Wednesday and a shortened week, right? Actually, I'm sorry, where were the S&P end February 2016? I'm still only going to call up at 1%, but being as we're in a leap year this year, I believe, right? The 28th. Yes, we're in a leap year in February. I might change my tune next week with 1 week to go. What's on tap for the week? Earnings from NVIDIA and Priceline and T-Mobile were important today. Tomorrow we have Cheniere Energy, something we should probably be paying attention to. Duke Energy reports tomorrow. Walmart reports tomorrow. JW, I want to say is Nordstrom's reports tomorrow. So we're going to start getting into more of the retail and energies. And on Friday, we have Deere that you guys trade, as well as VF companies. As for economic reports, today was the day. Somewhat nice to see the FOMC be worried about our economy. You sometimes wonder if these people get it, right? You sometimes sit here and go, how far out of touch are these jokers? What can they not understand or get here? But I like hearing that at least for the most part, the Fed realizes that they screwed up. I'm pretty sure the comment was, and don't quote me on it, but I believe the Fed said they're going to change their interest rate path. And they said that in the minutes. So good to see that these people that kind of scratch our head and go, what do they not get? They're at least starting to understand that they're starting to make a mistake, and they're putting it the recovery of our economy, which has been the slowest in ever U.S. history, is at risk. Options expiration on Friday. Make sure you clear out any of your options that are expiring. Cash in those profits on those long puts. Roll things out if you feel you need to. Overseas, we've got the European Monetary Union ECB minutes come out on Thursday. That could at least set our futures on a positive note when we see them also being willing to hear that they're going to put money more in the system. Hearing Draghi talk again, kind of being everything on the same page. Although it's not Draghi, it's what's her face, right? We have Japan Manufacturing Index flash numbers on Sunday, which will set our futures for Monday. How am I looking to trade? I have been cashing in some of my profits on puts before earnings. I picked up shares on Disney, I believe. Not looking particularly great, but Disney's starting to come back, and I've got more shares now. Picked up some shares on NVIDIA. I'm in no man's land on Visa, but I've lowered cost basis on Visa as I rolled the protection on down. I don't think we're going to see this big bounce to the upside, which means I'm going to be willing to spend more money to overprotect as we get to the high side of our selling signal. One more comment just came in. Just an unusual event in my experience. I was assigned in a still remaining 90 days put. I can only presume a crazy or desperate move. If you see something like that before, you know what? No, I've seen puts get assigned, short puts get assigned. Much, I've seen them 2 or 3 weeks out, but 90 days. I probably ask, hey, are you 3 or 4 or 5 strikes in the money? I've never seen a short 90 days out get assigned to someone. But with that said, if it's in the oil industry, maybe I can see it. People are just trying to get at it more of a top. I've got a ton of links to some articles that I thought were important. Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and put these out in time. I'm posting everything on the My Hurley Investment blog site, so you guys can grab onto it. But pretty exciting. Pretty exciting there. All righty. Questions. We had Abraham deep in the money for May. Yeah, I mean, they haven't been really deep in the money, but I still have not heard of a short put being exercised against you 90 days out, getting a sign. That really is that is very unusual. Abraham, if I can ask, what stock price, what stock was that happened to you on? Maybe it's thinly traded. TSO, huh? I called it on 90 days though, and it's oversold. It's an awfully steep drop down, but wait for an oversold bounce. Wait for a bit of an oversold bounce and see where you can go with that. That is very unusual. Very, very unusual. All right, any other questions you guys have? Any other questions you guys have that I can hopefully answer for you? Good equity for a caller now. Yes, I think you're going to see more downside movement on Tesoro and on all the oil companies. I'm just afraid I wouldn't know when to tell you to expect a bounce back. I don't think we're going to see a bounce back in oil pricing from 2017, maybe not even until 2018. And then we had talk today of oil not bouncing back to 2020 to 2022. So definitely, I think you're looking at wanting to protect and understand it's going to be a long-term collar trade. But the more shares you can pick up, the literally, the better you're going to be when it's all said and done. We had Rick. If a 9-day short put got assigned, he should still be okay with the credit he received, unless he was deep the money. Right. I mean, now that you're assigned, you can short calls against it. And look, I'm going to just tell you, watch out for a short-term bounce, though. You could see a short-term bounce relatively quickly. All right, well, it's a little bit early, but guys, let's call it a day. Let's call it a day. Let's see if we can't I don't know. Let's see if we can't I don't have an answer. Let's see if we can't survive this. How about that? Rick Gordon, do a combo short put and cover call unless he doesn't want to make any more shares. Yeah, I mean, there are a couple different things you could do it there, Rick. I'm not a big fan of a naked covered, well, short put, yeah. Covered call, cover your stock, yeah. I mean, generate some revenue, but you're looking for ranges. You're looking for ranges where you're probably having to go all the way up to 90, which might not have any credit on Tesoro. And, well, let's pull this out. Let's take a quick peek and see some ways to generate a little more money here. Boy, it's down to that bottom. You could literally use that 65 as a short put level, going back to 2015 lows. And, man, you're looking at 75 being a short call position to generate some revenue to get back to break even, Abraham. All right, I'm going to work on getting this up. It'll be on My Hurley Investment, and we'll have the recording in the notes there. Guys, take care. Have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Bye-bye, everyone.